Hey guys, this is John. I'm playing ehud45 in the 3-minute pool in ICC. We're going to have a French defense, and I'm playing the King's Indian attack. This is an occasional weapon I use against the French. I like the resulting positions. Back when I was an e4 player, I often relied on this in key games. b6 is interesting. I'm still going to close the position. Usually black won't commit to b6 because they might want to play b5. So I'm going to maneuver the knight and then play bishop f4. And he might be thinking about playing g5. Now, we have opposite side castling. I'm not going to go like all out for an attack, though, because it's a bit too early to do that. My first priority is to make sure black doesn't get too much play on the king side. I'm not in a great position to storm them anyways. I haven't even moved these pawns. But like g5 is an idea I have to respect here. I'm thinking about playing h5 so that if g5 I can take en passant, and then maybe play g4. Kind of leaning towards that. Yeah, let's do that. Thought about it a little bit. Okay, so take. Now, I could also play bishop h3 and try to target this pawn. But I think g4 is probably the proper reaction. That way, if g5, I can drop the bishop back here. I'm a little unhappy about that in that it takes away a square from my knight, but I think it's all right. This knight can find play elsewhere. All right, maybe take, and then play bishop h3. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, let's do that. Try to target this e6 pawn. He can press with h4. I'll go back here. I'm hoping I don't run into problems on the long diagonal. Like in the event of a check and then king h1, let's say. I hope that like a move like d4 doesn't hurt me too bad. Trying to get at this knight. If d4, I notice that I can play this knight to d2 and try to defend. e6 will still be hanging. Maybe I should play d4 myself. Yeah, I probably should. Because I really don't want to see d4 appear on the board when I'm not in a position to stop this bishop from causing damage. So I'm using that brief respite that was offered to me when he played knight d8 to defend this pawn in order to play d4 myself. He might have had something better there. That'll be interesting to see in the analysis. This player seemed pretty familiar with the setup that they're now employing, so I think they're doing okay. So if I take with the knight, is he going to take on f2? Is that the plan? Then I take e6. Not sure I want that, though. I can't take with the queen because of rook takes f3. So maybe we need another reinforcing move. I'm going to play this. I don't think my knight's doing anything on f1 anyways, so I'm going to assign it to defend. I might go rook g1 and try to swap a little bit. He's going to try to play d4 and open the position, so I'm going to put this here. Ooh, maybe I could have played rook c1. I might have played that a little bit too fast, but I'm just kind of paranoid about this piece. Rook c1, knight c5. Okay, let's see what happens there. Because I'm worried that if knight c5, b4, he can take on e4. Then he'd be threatening knight takes f2. Complicated. Okay, let's do this. I have 45 seconds left. I may be erred by playing knight e4. I think f3 was defended. I maybe should have played rook c1. Again, we'll see in the analysis. Gotta do something quick. Let's do this. Just trying to reinforce. I'm weak on d3 and f2, though. These bishops are useful, but we definitely got to be careful. Maybe f3 next move is a good move to shore up the diagonal. Wow, that move? I saw that move, actually, but I didn't think it would work. Let's play here. Looks weird to jump into the pin, but I think this is okay. I'm going to be up a piece in the resulting position. You can play rook f8, but I'll play queen d3. And yeah, that's a strong piece on b7, but what's he going to do with it? Queen takes a2, maybe queen b3, try to trade. Let's do that. Offer a trade here. He does trade. Okay. Let's bring this over. I gotta be careful. F2 is an issue. I'm gonna bring my rook into F7. Decided now. Okay, let's go here. We're both low on time. Okay, let's come here. Knight d6 coming. Ooh, that's not a good move. Wow, complicated. We're going to win this game now.
Check.
Yeah, we're going to win. Okay, well, got him at the end there. It was looking a little dicey, though, especially a big theme of this game was that A8, H1 diagonal. Let's go back and see. So, yeah, the King's Indian attack is an all-purpose setup. I mean, you can use it against virtually anything black can throw against you, especially if you're an e4 player. It lends itself well to playing e4 positions. I guess as a d4 player, you by definition can't really play a King's Indian attack setup, so that answers that question. But sometimes people start with knight f3 on move 1 if they want to get into this too. So the early b6 is interesting because a lot of times black will just castle right away. And then one line is e5, knight d7, rook e1, queen c7, attacking this pawn multiple times, queen e2. And then black will start pawn storming on the queen side, just trying to throw everything he has at white on this side of the board. Meanwhile, white gets to start maneuvering and playing moves like knight f1, h4, knight 1 to f2, bishop f4, h5, knight g4, and starts to target black's king. Hence the King's Indian portion of the name of this opening, because as in the King's Indian defense, you're launching an attack against the opposing king if you're playing that. But he plays in an interesting way with b6 and this plan of castling queenside. I kind of responded with some standard moves, but I'm kind of wondering if that's not the best way of playing against this. I mean, maybe I should consider slightly unorthodox stuff like taking and trying to open the e-file in the event that they take with a pawn. Nevertheless, I think e5 should be okay, but it did seem like black's play was a bit faster. So queen c7, I played bishop f4. I guess I could play queen e2 as well if I want to support the pawn. Because when I commit the bishop to f4, it does give him a reason to play h6 and then g5, trying to kick my bishop away. Let's just start the engine up here and see. Yeah, it already likes black, interestingly. So I wonder if after b6 I should do something else. Well, okay, it likes black even back here, so maybe we can't put too much stock in what the engine says quite yet. Too much stock in Stockfish, right? I don't know. I felt like I played several normal moves. Bishop f4, h6, h4. Yeah, because we want to stop g5. We don't want him to get g5 in unopposed. Castles, and now I played h5. He goes g5. This is probably a theoretical position. I bet if you were to look this up in the database, you would find examples from this position or something extremely similar to it. You know, one idea that's interesting that kind of escaped my attention, nah, it doesn't work though, is maybe in some form or another I could play knight e3 and then take on d5. This is a theme that crops up sometimes, and the idea is to try to get this e-pawn to move, that French pawn. So like if he takes, then maybe go e6 and open up the dark square bishop on the queen and attack the knight on d7, assuming there's a knight there. But it's too slow in this position. Like if knight e3, g5, take, e6. The problem is I'm losing 2 pieces.
Check. And
I'm only gaining 1. He's got 3 minor pieces remaining. I only have 2. So probably the way I played it is decent. g4, maybe not. Bishop h3 was another move I considered, but I just thought g5, and I thought it might be more significant for him to win the e5 pawn than it is for me to win the e6 pawn. For instance, like bishop d2, if he just takes here, let's say. I mean, I can grab this guy, but then king b8, and actually getting rid of e6 is probably helpful for black because it opens lines. So this looks wrong too. I don't know, it may just be the case that white's position is already unpleasant and black should be for choice here. So I play g4 to give my bishop a retreat square and still defend this pawn. He's playing good moves according to the engine. h5, another good engine move. I took. Yeah, in hindsight, that's pretty risky. I opened up my g-file significantly. Maybe g5, keep it closed, but then I kind of give away some squares, like f5. But it's not like he can transfer, for instance, like a knight there so easily. Yeah, maybe I can play knight h4 and bother him on the g6 square. Might be the lesser of the two evils here. But I took. I didn't want to lose momentum. Then I tried to play bishop h3. I was unwilling to relinquish the initiative, let's say, or even if I don't have the initiative, I wanted to battle for it. So h4. Yeah, d4 is also good. Playing d4 before I have a chance to play d4 myself, that could be a prelude to coming problems for me down the long diagonal. I could definitely see why that move would be good. The computer's suggesting rook e4, already trying to plug the diagonal. That's interesting. I wonder if black were to move knight b4, if it would even advocate moving this rook. Apparently not. My position is already desperate enough where I just have to keep it there. Because it's worse to allow the bishop to become active. Wow. Well, I played bishop h3 and then h4, bishop back to h2.
Check.
They gave a check. I mean, I'd say so far black is playing basically a perfect game. It's impressive. Yeah, so maybe the knight d8 move was a bit slow and they should have opted for this, which already introduces ideas of moving this knight away and just trying to win immediately with the bishop and rook combining on f3. Again, I have to go to this rook e4 move. What's wrong with like knight here? Knight c takes e5. Ah, and I'm pinned. Okay. Yeah, because after this and the rook takes e5, they can just take. And I'm unable to take with the knight due to the pin. Yep, d4 would have been good. I think that's for certain. And if bishop takes e6, then knight d8. Aha. Clever. So, opening up the bishop with tempo on my bishop. And even taking with check doesn't matter much. Queen takes, and what are we to do about this fearsome attack? Here, and then the queen can come in. It's mate in 4 already. I can't defend f3. Or g2. Queen g2 checkmate. Even bigger threat. So that was a turning point. When he played knight d8, I saw some hope. So d4. Even that is bad for me. I should play knight 1 d2. d4 felt right, though. They took, and then I played knight 1 d2. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't take with the queen because of rook takes f3. And if knight takes, I lose f2. And I just figured this must be in black's favor. So I played knight 1 d2. Then they played d3. I was skeptical of this at first, but given in how many lines this bishop is just a absolute MVP for black, it makes sense. So here I speculated that I might have played knight e4 too fast. I played that without really thinking, just instinctively. But even this probably is not good, because can they, after b4... Oh no, they can't play knight takes d3, because we're taking here with check. Not sure they calculated this. They maybe just have assumed that they had good play, but bishop g5, trying to remove this d2 knight. Wow. So if I take, they take here, and once again I'm losing because of the trouble here. And having my light square bishop come back is never like a good solution either, because they can always play h3 and just drag it back to that square if necessary. So that's one issue. There's probably even better moves. Oh yeah, they could just take, because I can't take with my knight due to like bishop takes g2 check. So I should have considered rook c1 here, but it's not a solution. I played knight e4, king b8, rook c1. I saw I could take on d4, but I was kind of scared about rook takes f2 again. So I didn't do that. So I just played this. Yeah, and now, annoyingly, if b4, they can just take on e4. And if I take their queen, then knight takes f2 check, and then checkmate. So I instead played queen e2. And time situation was not in my favor here either. Yeah, I figured right around here he had to be very close to winning. So bishop takes e4 is the engine suggestion. D takes e4, d3, queen e3, and then take here. And the point of that is after queen takes, he gets d2 in, and the rooks are forked. I lose. I'm down too much material. Notice my bishops, they never got to do anything. They were just blocked at all times. Well, they actually did get to do something, but only at the very end when we were in a time scramble. So that was a straightforward win for black. Straightforward if you have time to think about it. Bishop takes e4, d takes e4, d3, followed by rook takes f3, and then d2. Yeah. What happens in that line if I take on c5? I guess I never really have time, huh? Because here, they're hitting my queen. I must take d2, and I can't take here because they can just take here, queening with check. Lights out. So I can't even get the exchange back. I'm just going down a full rook. So they played queen d7. Brought the knight back. Yeah, I think that move... Wow, engine approved. I was about to criticize that move. I was like, okay, this move is overzealous. They have a good position. Why sacrifice the rook? But maybe their position is... This game never ceases to surprise me, apparently. Their position is good enough that they're just winning in almost every line. You know, actually, the role of this dark square bishop's underrated. You know, remember how I was looking at bishop g5 in one of the variations, taking out the knight on d2? Well, it can do it here, too. I guess if bishop g5, maybe I have bishop f4, and then rook f8. Rook g1 apparently holds, and if bishop takes d2, I win their rook. But they can attack me from the other angle, as the engine's saying, bishop b4. Just threatening to remove this, and there goes the neighborhood on e4. Oh, wow. Okay, so if I play a move like rook d1, they can swing the queen over and increase the pressure here, add another attacker. They're threatening bishop takes d2 again. And if bishop g2, yeah, there's the h3 problem I mentioned earlier, but there's also like sacrificial stuff. Absolute triumph of the light squares. Look at that. Ouch. And it's all over but the crying for me. King f1 or something. He takes e4, and I'm just getting shredded. So many tactical motifs for black, but so little time to consider them all. So this guy played a stellar game. Wow. I mean, rook takes f2 was justified, but he just didn't follow it up correctly. Looks like the key is getting rid of that d2 knight. And he didn't manage to do that. Bishop b4 would have been capping a very nicely played game. So he played queen d5 and was kind of able to organize a defense here. It definitely didn't defend optimally, I don't think. So here, knight c6, his queen and bishop are interrupted. I could have played knight d6, offering a trade. So I had a brief moment to do that. Instead, I just instinctively wanted to get the queens off the board. Even this is better for black. He's down a piece, but he has 2 pawns for it, and bishop b4 would introduce this old problem again. He's still got that rook lurking on the g2 bishop. Maybe I defended okay from here. I guess I could play bishop f3. For some reason, I thought bishop f3 would have lost to this move. And then I thought I was getting mated after bishop takes f3 or losing everything, but I see now that my knight is defending that bishop. So there's nothing. So I played rook f1 with 20 seconds left. Bishop b4, he did find it that time. Then bishop f3. Yeah, and it's hard to criticize either of our moves after this. I mean, you see the evaluation fluctuating wildly with every move, but what do you expect with, 10 to 20 seconds left? Knight e1, yeah, that would have been a nice move. Attacking the bishop, and this bishop can't leave the diagonal for familiar reasons. So b5, and I jumped into d6. I felt better once my knight got to d6. Then I felt like I was going to win. Well, yeah, and he blunders immediately after that.
Check.
So, full credit to my opponent. Great game by ehud45. Was totally outplaying me and handled the complications rather nicely. Just a few minor improvements they could have made in the execution of the attack. If this were if he had this position in a longer time control game, I'm pretty sure I'd be dead. I mean, he probably would notice that d4 is good straight away and that he doesn't need knight d8 on account of d4, bishop takes e6, knight d8, decisive advantage for black. And also, I bet he would have noticed stuff later on, like the strength of the bishop b4 move, for instance, after the rook sacrifice. So, yeah, one of the more interesting 3-minute games I've played lately, for sure. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'll be back tomorrow with another video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.